The Shama, Part 2, reading Devarim, chapter 6, verse 4, from my own amplified translation. Choose by your own volition to listen to with attentiveness, to perceive, understand, and closely examine, then respond appropriately and put into practice, Israel. Yahuwah, our mighty authority, Yahuwah, is singularly united and one. Better still, because of the in the Hebrew language as opposed to the English language, the verbs and the nouns are swapped around, we can actually say it in this way. Yisrael, choose by your own volition to listen to attentively, to perceive, understand, and closely examine, then respond appropriately and put into practice. Yahuwah, our mighty authority, Yahuwah, is singularly united and one. Right, the Hebrew word Shama, which is Strong's number 8085, and the ancient Hebrew lexicon number of 2851, and is translated as choose by your own volition to listen to with attentiveness, to perceive, understand, and closely examine, then respond appropriately and put into practice. Now, the first aspect about this word is that it's rendered in the imperative mood, which it expresses intent. It's an exhortation, a command, but it's subject to volition. So we are exhorted to listen to with attentiveness, to perceive, to understand, to closely examine, and then to respond appropriately and to put into practice what we have learnt and understood. But we must choose to do so. There is an element of volition, of personal volition. We have to willingly choose out of love, out of a great respect, out of reverence for the author of these words, to do and apply what is written. But to do and apply what is written, we must understand and closely examine what is written. There can be no coercion involved, no promise of reward, no fear or threat. We just need a tender willingness to understand, to closely and thoroughly examine. Then we need to willingly, out of love, put into practice what we learn. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, the word Shema actually means to hear, to perceive, to apprehend with the ear. It means to listen with attention, to respond to what is heard, to understand what is heard. And it also means to closely examine in order for us to understand. Now, the word Shema is made up of 3 letters. The first letter is the Shin. Now, in the ancient Hebrew pictographics, is represented by a pictograph of 2 front teeth, and it carries a meaning of teeth. It means to chew on, to chew over, but it can also mean to, second, again, also. Now, this is an adopted root, and it comes from the parent root Shem, which is often translated as name, but in effect means character, renown, reputation, purpose. Now, a Hebrew name always represents the character of the person or object bearing that name. Now, Yahuwah, for a start, means he exists, and it's imperfect, so he continually exists, or he existed, he exists now, and he will exist. He continually exists. So names always reflect character, purpose, and they're always descriptive. Now, the second letter is the Mem, and it's a pictograph of waves of water, and it carries a meaning of water, of sea, liquid. But it also carries a meaning of vastness, because the sea is a vast, huge place. Now, it also carries a meaning of chaos. Because when you're out at sea, you're in a boat and a storm comes up. The sea is a very chaotic place. It's a place of danger as well. So the meme carries all those meanings. Now the final letter is the ayin, and it's a pictograph of an eye, and it carries a meaning of to look, looking, see, watching, but it also carries a meaning of knowledge, as the eye is considered in the ancient Hebrew as the window of knowledge. So when you put all these letter meanings together, you get a deeper or a deep root meaning of the word Shema, and it's an understanding, it's a basic understanding of Shema that is very, 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 very eye-opening. And that meaning is this: Shema means, from its root letters, to chew on and over, the vastness of knowledge with the eye, and make it part of your being. I'll say that again, but it's important. Shema means, from its root letters, to chew on and over, the vastness of knowledge with the eye, and make it part of your being. The make it part of your being aspect comes from the root of Shema, which is Shem, which is character. Now, when we eat and chew on food, and that's the exact meaning here, to chew on and chew over. When we chew on and chew over our food that we put into our mouth, then we swallow it and we digest it all. The goodness that's in that food, the minerals, the vitamins, the calories, the energy, they become part of our being. They become part of us. You know, we've all heard the saying, we are what we eat. And that's exactly the same here. If we chew on, if we eat the words that Father give us, we become the words that Father gave us. It's that simple. And that's why we make it part of our being. Now, and the vastness of knowledge. And there is a vastness. There's a whole sea of knowledge within the words of the Creator, of Yahuwah. And it's knowledge and understanding that is beneficial for every single aspect and every single walk of life. Everything in life can be covered by the words that come from Father. And that's why we've got to chew it over. We've got to make His words part of us. We've got to change our character so our character fits in with His character. He can't change to fit in with us. We've got to change to fit in with Him. And it's that simple. Now, we see this basic understanding of the word Shema. This understanding sets a tone for how we should deal with, and the attitude with which we should deal with every single word that proceeds from the mouth of our Creator, Yahuwah. Every single word is beneficial for our food. We've got to take great care. We've got to diligently search. We've got to perceive. We've got to understand what every word He has for us says to us. Not just from our perspective. We don't want to understand His words from our perspective. We want to understand His words from His perspective. And that's the key. When we understand His words from our perspective, and we put our spin on His words, then all we get is another religion, another denomination, another sect. But when we try to understand His words from His perspective, in the way He gave them and for the purpose He gave them, then we get conformed to Him. We become then part of His family and not of some man-made religion. You know, relationship is all about getting to know, getting to understand. Like when we meet a person for the first time, the first thing we do is say, hello, my name is Peter, and they share their name with you. That's the basis of the relationship. And without even that, you got no basis. Yes, knowing the person's name is the foundation and the basis of relationship, and it is the same with our Father in heaven. He gave us his name so that we can start to get to know him. And now when all these religions come along and change his name into something that he never said, like Lord, like Adonai, like Hashem, we are hiding his name. We are, in effect, we are destroying his name. And because we are destroying his name, we are destroying, or not us personally, but those that do it are destroying the chance of a relationship with him. And that is a very, 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 very bad place to be. When you destroy his name, you destroy relationships. And many, many people have died. Millions of people have died over the eons of time because they've hidden his name. But then it takes time to build up that relationship. You get to know the person. You get to understand their likes, their dislikes. You get to understand the type of person they are, the character they've got. And it all takes time. Now, when you're face to face with someone, it's quite easy to build up that picture of a person, the character of a person. But with our Father in heaven, we haven't got that opportunity. We're not face to face with him. But he's given us his character in his words. He wants us to know him on a personal, in a family way, in a relationship. And it's an interactive relationship. He wants to communicate with us, and he wants us to communicate with him. But the only way that can happen is by understanding who he is, what he is, understanding his character, his purpose, his reputation, by understanding his words. We get all that from the words he gave us. Now, it's not difficult. He wants us to know him. He hasn't got a secret language. He hasn't got secret little messages. He is plain, open, upfront. He wants us to know him. He doesn't want to put obstacles in our way. He doesn't want us to go through some man, some priest, some rabbi, some pope, some minister, or whatever. He wants us to have a personal, direct relationship with him. And the way we get about it is through this one word, Shama. We diligently search him out. We diligently listen to understand, to perceive. And then we apply. We put into practice. But we've got to do it by choice. He doesn't want us all fearful of him. He doesn't want us forced. Love isn't forced. It's freely given. He freely loves us and gave the Messiah to open a doorway so that we can walk through it and go home. And we can do nothing to earn that. But he wants us to freely choose through the Messiah to walk through the doorway and to walk his narrow path. And that's the only path that he can walk. He can't walk the wide path. That was my phone. But he can't walk the wide path that the rest of the world are on. The path of Judaism, the path of Christianity, the path of Buddhism, the path of Islam, the path of Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons or anything. He can't walk any path apart from the path that he's laid out in his words. And if we want a relationship with him, if we want to walk with him, we've got to get onto his path. It's that simple. Without doing that, we will never ever know him, because he will never ever walk with us, and we'll always be walking contrary to him. And the way to do it is to Shema. The next word to study is Israel. And who is Israel? What is Israel? What does the word mean? That's in part 3. Shalom.